So a couple days ago I finished up PlayStation's newest game from Team Asobi, Astro Bot. And this game has been getting extremely high praise from both fans and, well, critics, but their opinions don't matter. This game might even win Game of the Year. But the main thing being pushed when it comes to the discourse around this game that I see is the sentiment that it's the next Mario Galaxy, which is pretty high praise considering that's one of, if not the best 3D platformer ever created to this day. But the question still remains, is it actually the next Mario Galaxy? Well, yes, it absolutely is. And it honestly exceeds Mario Galaxy in a couple areas in my opinion. As of right now, I have 100% completed the game. I've done everything there is to do, and I can confidently say that this game is identical to Mario Galaxy, from the enemy types in the game, to the way you traverse the different levels, to finding hidden levels throughout the comets, to the visual art direction and locations. You got bootleg thumps, Goombas, ghosts. They even got the little worm things. This game just takes me right back to when I played that game on the Wii for the first time. Even the way you use the PS5 controller feels like you're back on the Wii at points. But that doesn't mean it's exactly the same. There are plenty of differences as well. You have numerous power-ups that you find throughout like pretty much every level. You got these frog hands, you have these two different jetpack variations, you can turn into queso and float up high to reach certain things. You can turn into a mouse in a couple levels. You have these 3 PlayStation icon levels where you play as Kratos, Nathan Drake, and the Ginger from the game that you probably haven't played. And all those levels capture the spirit of those games as well. From the music to the gameplay, except for Horizon, I wouldn't know because I played the first one for an hour and quit. But like, I genuinely loved all these like PlayStation character levels, and there's some of my favorites throughout the entire game. And every level will have a similar gameplay loop, but when you keep getting bombarded with new power-ups, new platforming challenges, new boss fights, new maps with plenty of variety in the art direction and locations, you have to explore up and down to find all these bots, secret worlds, and puzzle pieces throughout the galaxy. There's so many levels with so much creativity, not just in the level design and how you go about exploring or doing certain things with the mechanics and the platforming sections, but also from just a general standpoint for everything, every other area of the game, such as like the music, art, and locations. This game just knows how to keep your attention and never lets off the gas. I never got bored from repetitive gameplay or anything in the game for that matter. This game has so much heart and love put into it that you just feel in like every level and the detail of everything. It's like a kitten in the sense that you can't help but just not love this thing or smile. A lot of times when you see people say this game is made by the fans for the fans, it's usually some bullshit, but with this game, it's genuinely true. There's so many Easter eggs, respect, and references to other franchises put into this game that just makes so many moments have those little moments where you just like, you know, just puts a little smile on your face. Everything down to the music, to the little animations and mannerisms that the little Astro Bots have. It makes you excited when you continue to grow your little hub world with more and more bots and stuff, just to be able to look at all the little details that they put into this game. And when you finally do save all the other Astro Bots by the end of the game, you can line them up like this. I had one little bot shaking his ass when I found him.
Hey, stop! That's gay! It's quick.
Whenever you beat a level, all the bots start breaking it down, going crazy. Even I started going crazy on one of the levels to the music. You got levels where you start ice skating and it just looks so adorable. You go through the God of War level and you find little Angrboda playing Bot of War Ragnabot. They even have the prophecy from Ragnarok here that you can find. And then you go into like the Kratos bot bio or whatever, and he's called Dad of Boy. And when you die on this level, you come back and you rage like Kratos. And this level in general was just extremely fun playing with the Leviathan axe. You go through the whole Uncharted level and it feels like one of the best set piece levels was just like completely ripped out of that game with a new spin on it. And this moment at the end of the boss fight of the level, where I did some cold ass shit. There's even a little Uncharted puzzle that you might miss where you match up these icons to get one of the circuit puzzle pieces, which I thought was neat. You got all these like special items that you can give to the bots, the special bots more so. You go into this little machine every time you get like a new bot or a new like puzzle piece, and again, it just adds to the hub world and you just get more and more like detail to look at. They have this fake death scene where the main Astro Bot almost dies at the end of the game, and the game is just so adorable that I was just sitting there like, damn man, like, bro, shit almost brought a tear to my eye.
That's what I'm talking about. This shit means something to me, man.
They even have a whole platforming section dedicated to part of the credits where you get a bunch of power-ups as you go through it, and in the regular credits, they start listing off the names of the enemies as if they were like actors. It's just like shit like this, it just shows how much Team Asobi loves their job and how much passion they put into this game, and it just puts a smile on my face. This game may have some very obvious inspiration that it wears on its sleeve, but it's the farthest thing from soulless, shallow, or generic. But I do want to start getting more specific into my favorite parts of the game, as well as some things that I don't like about the game that hold me back from calling it a masterpiece. Now, I don't have many problems at all with this game, so I'm gonna try and make this quick. One, I don't like how with some levels, when I miss something, I may not be able to go back while I was already in the level, and you have to like restart to do things all over again just to get maybe one or two things that you may have missed. I really wish the game allowed you to spawn or go back to a specific checkpoint whenever you want, or at least like after you beat a level already, you can like have the ability to do that. A prime example of this is the first level where you unlock the frog hands, and there's a lost galaxy that forces you to play through the level all over again just to 100% that level. And this happens in a few levels, but for the most part it was kind of just like a minor annoyance. There weren't really any levels that I had to go back and get stuff that I was like dreading to play again. My second issue, and this is my bigger issue with the game that holds me back from calling it a masterpiece, and that's simply that while I think 90% of the levels in this game are engaging and fun to go through and explore, even if they aren't the most challenging, there are a few levels and boss fights that genuinely feel like they're on rails, both literally and figuratively, which just made them feel very unengaging and like mundane to play. Now, I can't remember every level that I didn't really like, because I was dumb and wasn't taking notes as I was playing the game. But a few examples I can point to off the top of my head are this octopus boss fight, the 3-bird boss fight, which was genuinely just garbage. Just look at this shit. Like, it literally takes no effort to beat that thing. And for as good as the God of War level is, I gotta say, it has the weakest boss fight out of all the PlayStation character icon levels. You got this boss fight, which can just segue us into levels, because this whole level just feels like it's on rails. Again, literally and figuratively. I mean, you look at how bad this boss is, and then earlier in the level, there's a section that, like, you just sit there for like a minute and just hold R2 as you wait for these dumb frogs to stop shooting at you. You literally do nothing. You're just sitting there holding R2. The 4 challenge maps from the first and second galaxies are also pretty weak. And I'm not talking about the triangle missions from the second galaxy, because those levels, those levels are fire. And the level where you have to rescue like the huge Astro Bot, I think they called him like the Big Brother or some shit. But it was kind of made up for in this level when I jumped off the top of this platform and Big Brother Bot thought I offed myself, and that made me laugh. But there's a couple others that I just can't remember off the top of my head which level they exactly were. And one example I did clip where it's a slight issue that stretches to a few different levels is this one where you get the cannonball power up for the first time, and right before you finish it, it transitions to you rolling down spikes, and that part of it ends so quickly when it could have been extremely fun. And I was just sitting there like, damn, that would have been a really great ending if they just took it the extra mile and did some more with that. I just think if they're gonna make a sequel to this game, they should definitely overall just up the difficulty. And the final issue I would point out is I wish this game took the lives system from Mario Galaxy, where if you die too much, you have to restart the whole galaxy. This adds a sense of stakes to each level, and it would do an easy job of giving the game some artificial extra engagement. And I don't really like how you get 3 lives or like 3 chances if you get knocked out during a boss fight. I feel like you should like none of these boss fights are particularly like crazy challenging. A couple are relatively challenging, so I think you should just have to perfect these bosses. But as far as criticisms slash things that I wish were different or slightly tweaked, that's pretty much all I got. But to start talking about my favorite things about the game, I'm gonna go back to the triangle missions that I mentioned earlier. And my god, are all these levels with the 4 PlayStation buttons, like all of these things are fucking fire. Genuinely like my favorite levels in the entire game. They're the most challenging, and they're nice little short and sweet missions, but what it lacks in size, it makes up for in the challenge it brings compared to the other levels. I also really loved the PlayStation character levels, as I've mentioned multiple times. The final story level where you fight the main bad guy, and this shit was like Avengers Endgame. We all came out on the different eras of PlayStation controllers and consoles. This shit was fire, and it was the best boss fight in the entire game. The genie level, both of them, these bosses were really fun. And I mean, even if I hated the octopus boss fight, I can't can't lie, the spectacle still made it at least somewhat enjoyable, and like all of these bosses and like multiple levels have such good spectacle and just fun shit going on. I really like these two space levels, one where you find all the kill zone people, and two, the other one is called Orbital Blitz, and then finally the secret final level with all the button icons. This level is my favorite in the entire game, and I think I'm the world record holder for the time that I, did on this level. But don't fact check that, just trust me. But I mean, seriously, this level is genuinely insane, and I had so much fun trying to beat it, and when I finally did, it felt extremely satisfying. If you haven't gotten to this level, you should absolutely 100% the game and play it. And we would be here all day if I listed all the levels I like, because I do like most of them, but I just wanted to mention some of my favorites off the top of my head. But in conclusion, this game is great, and it is a worthy successor to Mario Galaxy. And while I did mention it slightly a bit earlier, I genuinely think this game is better on an art direction front, a music front, the spectacle, and just the amount of heart put into the game. One thing I forgot to mention is the haptic feedback and how Team Asobi utilizes the controller here, and it is just so fucking cool. The feeling you get when walking over different textures, the controller sounds, the trigger pull, the way you have to move it from side to side to like, do certain puzzles or move your glider from side to side. But while I think those areas are better in Astro Bot, everything that I just kind of mentioned, the music, art direction, spectacle, and the heart, what I will still say is, in terms of level design and boss fights, I still think Mario Galaxy is definitely more consistent when it comes to the quality of the gameplay experience, which is why I still give Mario Galaxy a 10 out of 10 and I give Astro Bot a 9 out of 10. Let me know what y'all think of the game in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you would support me for as little as $1 a month on Patreon. I thank you all for watching, and yeah.